Thanks for joining us and welcome to the Rabbi's Table. Obviously, I am not the rabbi. I'm Jennifer Horn. My friend, Rabbi Michael Barclay, is the host of this very program. We thank you for tuning in. And he is actually in Israel today. And we are going to spend the entire hour talking with Rabbi Michael Barclay from Israel about what he is up to there. It is a very interesting time to be overseas, and we are going to get his take on how the people of Israel are handling what's been going on, the back and forth with Iran, with Lebanon. We're going to go into some of those issues, but we're also going to jump into some of the spiritual stuff. Why did Rabbi Barclay become a rabbi? What led him down this path? Why is Israel so important? And as a rabbi, in my opinion, Rabbi Barclay actually really welcomes in Christianity, the Christian perspective, and why those faiths really walk with one another and why that is so important. And of course, no episode of the Rabbi's Table should be complete without talking about what has become maybe one of the biggest issues of my lifetime. And that is the rise in anti-Semitism, especially over the last 2 to 3 years. It is apparent in America that there is half of our nation that has somehow bought into, some pretty bad ideas about Israel and about the Israelis that inhabit our country. We have the rise of socialism in the Democrat Party. Democrat socialists really not even opposing Donald Trump anymore, as you would think they would. They seem to be standing in opposition of Israel. So we'll get Rabbi Barclay's take on that. We're also going to go through some of the highlights of his trip. And we're going to talk about some of the people he's met already, including Mike Huckabee, who is one of my favorites in the political world, and he will talk about his time there. So we have lots to talk about this hour. Want to remind you to follow the Rabbi's Table on social media. You can get the podcast anywhere you get your podcast. And this week, we have special additional video podcasts up on YouTube, on all of the platforms so that you can follow the Rabbi's trek through Israel. Some incredible pictures, some incredible videos. So we want you to check it out. We want you to sit back and enjoy this episode as we dive in to some of the behind the scenes info about our brave host, Rabbi Michael Barclay. Stay tuned. Jennifer Horn in for the Rabbi. This is the Rabbi's Table.
I've been blessed to travel all over the world. I have to be honest. One of my favorite places to go, especially with my family, is up to Reno, and specifically up to the Atlantis Resort up in Reno. It is beautiful. It's an amazing hotel, amazing restaurants. Reno's this fabulous little city. It really is the biggest little city in the world. You can go in the spring or the summer to Lake Tahoe. You can ski in the winter. Everything is up there. And I want to recommend that you go to Atlantis Casino and Resort. Go atlantiscasino.com, ATLANTIS, casino.com. Make your reservation. Spend a couple of days or a week up there. I promise you'll be happy about it. I know that I always am whenever we go up.
Welcome back. It is the Rabbi's Table. I'm Jennifer Horn, sitting in for my friend Rabbi Michael Barclay today. But guys, he is with us. I'm just anchoring things. He is actually with us. It is my pleasure to bring him in. I think it might be close to 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. He's been up all night, but the guy is crazy, and he is going to join us to talk about his journey, his spiritual journey, and of course, this amazing trip that he is on right now in Israel. Rabbi Michael Barclay, thanks so much for making time to come back onto your program, and thanks for letting me sit in for you today.
No, thank you, Jennifer, for being the rabbi. I don't know how we do this ordination for you real quickly, but I think it's pretty darn impressive that so quickly you are now an ordained rabbi.
You know, I
so
actually...
thank you for doing this.
I think I was reading in the back of a Cosmopolitan magazine. It said, do you want to be a rabbi? Send $49. And so I did, and I got a certificate. So I thank you for bestowing it on me.
Who'd you send the $49 to? I didn't get it.
See. So let's jump into things. We're going to talk about your trip. We're going to talk about some of the amazing people you've been spending time with. But before we do that, your radio program, your podcast has been on the air now for almost 3 months. I think we're getting close to the 3-month mark. And you have seen so much growth with your podcast episodes. You are so impactful. You do daily emails. People should sign up for those, therabbistable.com. But I want to ask about your spiritual journey, Rabbi, because for people to truly get to know you and to kind of get an idea of how you think and how you form your opinions about really important issues, I think we need to get to know you. So how did little Michael Barclay become a rabbi?
With great hesitation.
Really?
When I was young, when I was young, most people thought I was going to be a rabbi, and I didn't want to do it for a lot of reasons. One being that most pulpit rabbis that I know are miserable. As my friend Rabbi Shochet once said, a rabbi's job in a large synagogue is the only person who the people who judge his job have no idea what he's supposed to do. Because we're not meant to be fundraisers, we're meant to be teachers and people who pray and people who are committed to trying to live life in a certain way and to share God's teachings for each individual. So I rejected it for a very long time.
Who was that pressure coming from, by the way? Was that your family?
No, it was just, it was family, it was friends. Actually, it was mostly rabbis.
That just expected you to do that. You're a charismatic guy, so did that have something to do with it? The fact that when you talk, people listen. You have a really, I think, incredible way of connecting with people and making people understand. And I love your passion and excitement when you talk about the Bible. I told you I was reading through the Bible in the year, and you're like, you've got to come and talk to me because you know so much. You are a historian in this field. So was it all of that? Is that where the expectation started to form?
I guess. I mean, after my bar mitzvah, there were some rabbis who started teaching me Jewish mysticism and meditation. And I did a lot of work in other cultures, a lot of spiritual work with other traditions. I spent time with a native tribe in Arizona. One of the tribes I've been going back there for over 35 years for ceremonies. I was initiated in the path of Ifa by a priest of Yoruba, a Nigerian priest, Yoruba priest. I did a lot of studying because I believe that God is, we may all have different versions of how we view God, but if you think of a circle and God's at the center of the circle, every path is a different pathway to get there. And although I was always committed to my Judaism, and especially to the understanding of the ethics, what we call Musar, and the mysticism of it, I didn't like the structure. I don't like the structure of institutions, of Jewish institutions. I related most to people like Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach of blessed memory, who before he died, someone asked, how can we revitalize Judaism in America? He said, close every synagogue, close every Jewish educational school, close every Jewish institution, close them for 3 months and start with a whole new crop of people. I had real problems with a lot of the institutional part. And at the same time, I was teaching it, studying and then teaching as well. And I was a single guy at the time, and I think if you're going to be clergy, you need to try your best to live in a good way. And I liked being a single guy. That didn't necessarily go in harmony with being a rabbi. And then my brother died very suddenly of an aneurysm. Wow. And he was my older brother, his dear friend. He was my best friend. And I was talking to a rabbi who had known me since I was a teenager. I had worked with him on the National Task Force and Cults and Missionaries, against Cults and Missionaries for the Jewish Federation. I had worked, studied with him as well. And we had lunch. It was about a week after my brother died. And he said, when are you going to get off your tochas and you're behind and go do what you're supposed to do? And I looked at him and said, look, I really don't know that I want to be a role model. And he said, look, whether you want to be or not, you are a role model. So you're going to be one with knowledge, or you're just going to be a schmendrick. And 2 days later, I was enrolled in rabbinic school.
Wow.
And went through that and never intended on having a pulpit. Was very happy teaching at Loyola and being the Hillel director.
And just quickly, because we'll go into that too, I'm curious to know, I think, it is hard to say that we have walked a life of just faithfulness from start to finish. I think there are moments, and maybe I don't want to presume, but having your brother die suddenly, or some of the stuff that life throws at us. There are moments when we question our faith. Did you ever have that time in your life where you said, well, maybe there's something else going on here? Or were you always sure of God's love and promise for us?
Anyone who is 100% sure of anything, I don't trust. Because if you don't have those challenges to your faith, and forgive the sound, I'm outside our hotel in Israel right now. If you don't have those challenges, those confrontations with numinous, then you can't go to a deeper level. You get to a deeper level of awareness, a deeper awareness of our relationship with life, with God, with the universe, through challenges. I forget who it was. I don't think it was Theodore Rathgeb, but it might have been, who said that the goal of life is not to succeed, it's to be defeated by ever greater challenges, because that means you're growing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, of course, I constantly have had lack of faith at different times. And it's always led me to a deeper place of seeing the world in a deeper place, through a deeper lens in a deeper place.
And I talked to you from a Christian background, and I was raised Catholic, born and raised Catholic. I think what I love about you, Rabbi, and the way that you teach your faith or communicate your faith to people is very fact-based, because to gain I don't want to say perfect faith, but to gain faith, you almost need to see it for yourself, right? You need to have those moments, those I call them God moments. And I love listening to you talk because you reference history, things that were biblical, with things that we can prove in our own world. And I love that, because I think you can really connect the dots for people.
Well, look, I think it's important, and thank you for that. And the text, I'm very text oriented, and my belief is that if God wanted me to be a Christian, I would be a Christian. I would have been born a Christian. The reason Jews don't proselytize is because our belief is God wants you to be the best Christian you can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I to say it's different? Some people aren't going to like the analogy, but the reality is there are some people with gender dysphoria, but if you are born with the right chromosomes, you're a man, the other chromosomes, you're a woman. You can say all day, try to change your identity, but you are who you are. I was born in this lifetime as a Jew, and from the lineage of rabbis, going back to my great-grandfather and all his fathers before him. But I think it's important that we find our own journey. One of the things I love about Judaism at a deep level, and Christianity as well, is it's about a personal relationship with God. I know so many different Christians who they have found God through Christ, through Jesus, their own personal relationship. And in Judaism, it's the same thing. It's about your own personal relationship with what we call Hashem, the name, one of the ways we refer to God. And I think it's so important that everyone does their journey, not someone else's.
And I'm going to stop you right there, because we're coming up on a break, but I want to pick up with that, because I do think that everybody's walk is different, and it should be. Each one of us are different. God made us that way. And I want to continue down this path of uniting people of the Jewish faith with the Christian faith. I think that's an important conversation, especially today. And we'll talk more about that. I'm Jennifer Horn, anchoring for the Rabbi. He is in Israel today. We are so happy to connect with him there. We're going to hear more about his trip as well. As we continue, it is the Rabbi's Table.
As we all know, there's been a war going on in Israel for over 2 years. And one of the places that's doing so much healing and so much work is the Bnei Zion Hospital in Haifa in Israel. They're one of the top rehab facilities in the world, and where all of the victims from the north go, and many from other places throughout the country, go up to Bnei Zion in Haifa. They built a nuclear-proof bunker and put a hospital inside of it. They finished that project in July of 23, and then the war started with Hamas terrorizing and kidnapping and killing so many people on October 7th, and it's been horrible since then. Today, we have this war going on with Iran and Hezbollah, where all these wounded are going to Bnei Zion Hospital, and the hospital needs your help. The hospital needs to raise funds so they can provide more facilities. They can provide more medicine, more healing for the many people, Jews, Christians, Catholics, Druze, Muslims, all the people who have been bombed, hurt, injured. We need to help them, and you can make a difference. And I really want to invite you to. Go to healthcareforisrael.org. That's healthcareforisrael.org. Make a donation. I'm a rabbi, but rarely can I say that I've been involved in saving someone's physical life. When I've made donations to this hospital, when I've raised money for the hospital, that money goes directly and saves human lives. Rarely can any of us say that we've done that. I am begging you, I am pleading with you, please go to Healthcare for Israel. Save some lives. Every dollar, every dime that you donate is both tax deductible, but every dime goes straight to the hospital for its good work. Again, that's Healthcare for Israel. Support Israel by doing this. Support B'nai Zion Hospital. Support humanity and make a difference by healing and saving lives.
Welcome back. It is the Rabbi's Table. I'm Jennifer Horn. Happy to be sitting with my friend, Rabbi Michael Barclay, today. I am not the rabbi. I am simply, a Catholic school kid from Los Angeles who got to know Rabbi Barclay and was always just taken with his charisma and with his faith and with his message, especially now when we see so much anti-Semitism around the country. And I think it's really important that we hone in on that. The rabbi is in Israel today, so we are lucky enough to connect with him. And Rabbi, welcome back to your own program. Glad to have you join us on your own show.
I love this. I get to be the guest. This is fun.
Isn't it easier that way? I know. It really
man.
is. You don't have to direct traffic. But let me pick up where we just left off. And that is, you were saying that everybody needs a personal faith journey. And one of the things that I love about you, because everything is so divided right now, whether it's politically or spiritually or emotionally, it seems like everybody wants to hide in their own corner and nobody wants to walk together and celebrate differences. I love the fact that you and I can be friends. You're never saying, hey, you shouldn't be a Christian. You shouldn't do this. Think about this. You actually celebrate the relationship between Jews and Christians. Why is that?
Because if God is infinite, how can I have the only answer? We say in Judaism, we say Elu v'Elu. These words and these words are both words of the living God, which allows the rabbis to argue with each other going back to Talmudic times. But take that same concept. It's about, if God is infinite, there's no way I can have the unilateral, the monolithic understanding and experience of God, because I'm not infinite. And so it makes a lot more sense, at least to me, to say, well, you know what? This is how I view the world, but there are other ways that are equally as valid. They're not as valid for me. They don't make my soul sing, but they work for other people. And if someone's Christian and they are finding and experiencing God through Jesus, that's fabulous. And if they are Buddhist and they're doing it through the sevenfold path, that's beautiful to me. And so for me to be able to learn, if they're Yoruba and they do it through Ifa, the path of Ifa, if they are from different Central American tribes and they do it through shamanic pathways, they're all different pathways. Who am I to say that, God accepts this, doesn't like that? There's a great teaching that Abraham, our father Abraham, who's the patriarch of both Judaism and Christianity. Let's remember, Jesus was born, lived, and died as a Jew. That an old man comes into his tent. Abraham says, "Please come have a meal with me." The guy comes in, 70-year-old man. And he starts to eat, and Abraham says, "No, you can't eat. You need to first say a prayer to God." He goes, "I don't believe in your God." He starts eating. Abraham says, "Stop." He says, "No, I'm not going to stop. I don't believe in your God." Abraham says, "If you're not saying a prayer, get out." The guy says, "Fine." He leaves. There's a knock on the door. It's the Archangel Michael. He says, "Abraham, God has a question for you. If he could put up with this man's disbelief for 70 years, why couldn't you put up with it for 7 minutes?" Wow. Who am I to judge anyone else's spiritual journey?
I love that.
I'm in Israel right now, Jen, right? So one of the things, and we have a number of people from our synagogue who are with us, one of the things that is planned that I'm really looking forward to, because I have not done it in Israel before, is, God willing, we will be going to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and we will be walking the path of the Via Dolorosa.
Amazing.
It's not that it's meaningful to me per se, but it's meaningful to me because so many people that I care about and love, it's meaningful to them.
Yeah.
I used to go, even before I was a rabbi, I would go to Christmas Mass, which I always thought was funny. The priest would always say, "It's great to see you again." Why don't I see you more often? I was like, yeah, he's like, But I would love doing that because, and I wouldn't take the communion, but I love doing it because it was my way of saying, I support you in your prayers. And I wish you would support me in my prayers too. I support you in your culture, and I respect it, and I treasure it. It's just not for me. I wish that you would have the same attitude for me.
And speaking of that, and I think that brings us up to onto our next topic here, which is anti-Semitism. What you said is beautiful. You don't have to support it. You don't have to believe in it. But especially in America, we have the freedom to practice the religions and the faith that we want to. That's one of the best things about this country is our freedom of religion, our freedom of speech. Yet that does not seem to be the case, by and large, for our Jewish population. Rabbi, it's appalling to me, the behavior that is being demonstrated by elected leaders on down to college students. How, at this point, do you live, and what is your message for Jews in America and, quite frankly, around the world who are feeling more anti-Semitism today than they have in decades?
I think there's a great statement. I don't know who said it. I don't remember who said it, about that all it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. All it takes for gossip to succeed is for no one to say, hey, that's a lie. Mm-hmm. All it takes for anti-Semitism to become as powerful as it is for people to be quiet. And, I had a wonderful dialogue on this show with Pastor Jack Hibbs, who pointed out, you cannot be a Christian and be an anti-Semite.
Right.
It doesn't work. They're antithetical to each other. I did an article recently. You cannot be, and we did a podcast last week, you cannot be a patriot and be an anti-Semite. Judaism has started in this country from the very beginning when it was discovered. It is an integral part of the discovery, the formation, the framing, the infrastructure of what this nation is. So much so that some three of the original colleges in this country have Hebrew on their logos and their shields. So it's about respecting each other. I also have never understood this whole concept of Jesus was born, lived, and died a Jew. Why are you paying such disrespect when that's who he was? Mm-hmm. And if you accept he was also God, that's okay. I'm good with that. But let's also remember, he chose to be born in this body as a Jew, as a rabbi. So where does anyone get off saying being anti-Semitic? And if you look at the people who really are the anti-Semites, especially the large ones in the public arena, they're ignorant about their own theology.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, if you really want to study the Hebrew scriptures, you better learn Hebrew, because there's subtleties you'll miss. I don't comment on the Christian scriptures because I'm not fluent in Greek or Latin. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you these people are spouting off things. They don't even know their own text. They really don't.
Well, and, okay, so that I would say from a spiritual place is absolutely true. From a political place, I also believe that's true, where they might be listening. And one of the things that I think is even more disturbing than some of the anti-Semitism from the left, which in many cases can be more violent, but is definitely more ideological on the right. The stuff that's forming on social media, instead of just accepting and understanding and moving on. I mean, it seems that there are a lot of people who are trusted by a large group of conservatives that are saying that, the Jewish people are responsible for some of the most atrocious things that are happening in this world. And I just don't understand where that comes from if you're actually looking at facts, if you're looking at history, and if you're not buying into just what people tell you in the online sphere.
As you know, I was the first person to call out both Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson as anti-Semites almost 3 years ago, for which I was canceled. I had tons of hate mail.
You still struggle today, I think, with the online presence because of it. Yes.
Absolutely. I am, because, their fans really hate that I've called them out on stuff like that. And these aren't people who understand theology. They're vacuous. They don't understand their own theology. And so it becomes about hate. At a deep level, one of the causes of anti-Semitism, there are a number of them, but one of them is, if someone has faith in God, if someone has faith specifically in Christianity, Catholicism, a Mike Huckabee, a Pastor Rob McCoy, a Pastor Jack Hibbs, that kind of person, who are all pastors who are deeply committed and have a personal relationship with God through Jesus. Mm-hmm. I don't threaten them, because they know that I'm part of a covenant. God doesn't change his mind. He's not, that's not who he is. And they see everything in the Hebrew scriptures and they embrace it. So I don't threaten them. For the person who doesn't really accept Christian theology, they don't really accept Jesus in their life, he hasn't touched their heart, or they haven't let him touch their heart, then their attitude is, something's wrong with me. First of all, they believe that the Jews killed Jesus. They didn't. There's no way that the Jews, there may have been some covert Jews that were doing things that were inappropriate, like Caiaphas 2,000 years ago. But the Jewish establishment, the Jews as people, didn't have anything to do with Jesus' death. In fact, there's no way they could have. You couldn't have had a Jewish trial during Passover. If Last Supper was a Passover Seder, you couldn't have had trial with Jews choosing to do it. But we're accused of it. And there's a lot of anti-Semitism that goes back to the Vulgate, the 4th century translation of the Hebrew scriptures, where there are conscious mistakes made by the translator, one of them being that Moses has horns. All these different things, they all lead up to anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
But for someone who doesn't believe in God, my existence, let alone my thriving as a Jew, survival and thriving, threatens their belief, because they think, well, wait a minute, maybe if he's okay and he doesn't believe in Jesus, maybe Jesus isn't real. Maybe I shouldn't be a Christian.
Right.
As opposed to thinking, wait, okay, that's his belief. Jesus was born in a Jewish body, and I should treasure that. And it's just a cousin. We're cousins of each other. And I've said this so many times. I've written this. I believe the Messiah will come. I believe when the Messiah comes, may come in our time, I will say welcome. You're going to say welcome back, and we're both going to accept him.
I love that line, actually, and I love the unifying nature of it, because that's really what it should be, and more people need to be listening to that. Rabbi Michael Barclay is the host of the Rabbi's Table. I'm Jennifer Horn. I'm just hanging out today, asking some questions to my friend who is in Israel today. And guys, when we come back, we are going to hear all about this trip to Israel. I want to know all the details. Why you're there, Rabbi, what you're seeing, how the people are acting. We think this is war times. Is that really true? And we'll go through all of that next. Make sure you check us out on social media, The Rabbi's Table, and online for all of the access to podcasts and more, therabbistable.com. As we continue, it is The Rabbi's Table.
One of the greatest places that I know of to go to, whether it's for a day, a week, or even a little longer, is a vacation up in Reno, specifically at the Atlantis Resort and Casino in Reno. It's amazing up there, and it's a little gem of Reno that is often just ignored. I go up there with my family. There's wintertime skiing. There's summertime at the Lake Tahoe. And the Atlantis Resort and Casino is an amazing place to stay. Not only are the rooms beautiful, amazing views, but some of the restaurants are the best restaurants in the country, the Napa Bistro, different places that you can eat. There's an indoor pool. So you can go skiing in the morning and then go swimming in the afternoon. I really want to recommend to you to check out the Atlantis Resort. It's at atlantiscasino.com. That's atlantiscasino.com, ATLANTIS casino.com. It's up in Reno. I promise you, and I've been there, I promise you, you're going to have an amazing time. You won't be able to wait till you get back. Go visit it. Go see Reno. It's the greatest little city in the world. Go have some fun at the Atlantis.
Welcome back. It's the Rabbi's Table. I'm Jennifer Horn. I'm sitting in today for Rabbi Michael Barclay, my friend, who is in Israel today. And, it's a scary time to travel, Rabbi, because there's just so much uncertainty in the world. The back and forth with Iran, back and forth with Lebanon, the attacks that have continued in Israel, and Israel having the right to defend themselves. It's uncertain. But you said, you know what? I'm taking people from my synagogue. We're going, and you are in Israel today. So tell us why you're there and what you've experienced so far, because you're there for a pretty amazing reason.
Well, okay. 2 years ago, there's something called the Maccabi Games. Mm-hmm. They're the Jewish Olympics. They are the second largest. I thought they were the third, but they're actually the second largest sporting event on the planet. And they're almost 100 years old. And some of the sports have junior categories. 2 years ago, my 16-year-old twins, at the time, they were the under 18, and they are two of the 6 golfers representing the United States.
Amazing.
So I was coming to Israel.
These guys are pretty good golfers, is what you tell me, from what you tell me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Understatement of the world, right?
It's an understatement of the week, yeah. They're think that, and I don't even play the game. But so I was coming to Israel, and people said, can we come with you, and can you do a trip to Israel? I said, sure. So we planned it for last coming. And then it was canceled because of the war. And then we had, I think, about 20 coming, and then it was canceled down so that there's 11 now, because people were scared about coming, difficult to get flights, et cetera. So that's why we're here, is for the Maccabi Games on a personal level. on a rabbinic level, we're doing all of the things that you should do when you come to Israel. Spiritual experiences, physical experiences, experiences that are only found in Israel and that really can change a person's soul and life.
For those of us who haven't been there, what are one of those? What would be one of those things?
So one of them I want to talk about at the end, because we talk about spiritual teachings at the end of every show.
Yeah.
So there's one I'd love to relay about what we did today, but as an example, we're doing everything from going river rafting down the Jordan River to visiting the graves of some great sages, to walking the Via Dolorosa and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, to going to the Dead Sea, to climbing Masada, which was destroyed in 73 of the Common Era. Josephus had written about it. It's these amazing ruins. We're doing all these different sort of things. Yesterday we were at the oldest cemetery in the world. It's kind of ironic. People say, "Oh, that's not, Jews don't belong in Israel." The oldest cemetery in the world that is still functioning is here in Jerusalem. It's called Mount Olives, and there are people. It goes back 3,000 years of Jews being buried there.
Wow.
So don't tell me we weren't here.
Right.
And the graves are still there, and the tombs are still there. And I actually just put up a video of going into the tomb there's one tomb where we were yesterday, and the prophets that we've all studied, if you've studied Bible, Zechariah, Haggai, and Malachi, are all in this one tomb.
Incredible.
It's incredible. But you see, Israel's so amazing. Christians love being in Israel, and they love living in Israel because they're experiencing all of the teachings. It's alive. So the people here they're living it every moment. You're walking the steps. You walk through the Jaffa Gate into the old city of Jerusalem, and you're walking on steps that Solomon walked on, that Jesus walked on, that all of these sages we read about walked on. And they haven't replaced the stones. They're the same people. Today we were going through archaeological ruins under the city of David, and in rooms that have been excavated that were part of King David's palace.
Wow.
We're talking 3,000 years ago.
Incredible. That's back when Joe Biden was born. I'm sorry. Just had to slide that one in.
But you know what? He doesn't remember. He thinks it was somewhere else. So
it's back when he met Corn Pop.
Yeah, he keeps looking for the monument for Corn Pop. He's not here in Jerusalem. So we're doing all these different things that are both fun, but also, we're going to take a sailing ship, a sailing boat that is built the way they built thousands of years ago on the Sea of Galilee. I think it's important. And so we're exploring the different things. The attitude here, people need to come to Israel. It's funny how you hear from, these idiots like Candace Owens and Dave Smith. Smith's never been there. He's not even Jewish. He claimed it so he could get more popularity. He's a fraud. Candace Owens was here for a couple of hours at one point. It was so stupid that she thought that the Jewish quarter, the Armenian quarter, the Christian quarter, and the Muslim quarter were apartheid, as opposed to, no, that's just where some of the shops were, so it was called that. It's just ridiculous. Anyone lives everywhere here. The respect is amazing. And people are living life threatened every moment of every day, surrounded by countries over 250 times the amount of people and the size of little Israel, which is smaller than New Jersey, that all want to destroy Israel. It's real simple. The Zionist wants to build and create technology, Israel, all these things. The pro-Palestinian, the Islam, the Muslim, their goal, destroy Israel. Yeah. They don't have a goal of creating anything. They just want to destroy.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, it's just, and here, although they're threatened, everyone's celebrating life. I was at the opening night games of Maccabi games tonight. 30,000 people celebrating life fully and joyously and passionately in every good way. That's what it was about.
I love that. And you've shared some pictures with me of people singing and dancing in the street. What strikes me is that there is more life in a place that seems to always have to deal with a threat from somewhere. There is more joy in life there than there is in a country where there should be, because we are so blessed to live in America. We're so blessed to be here, yet the joy there is real.
It's totally real. And, you spend time with Mike Huckabee, and you see this ambassador who's living his faith.
Okay,
And
so
you
tell
see
us about
people-
that. Don't just drop Mike Huckabee, because he is one of the kindest, I think, most wonderful men I have ever met from the political realm. Anyway, I think he is sweet, he is kind, he is down to earth. So talk about getting some time to spend with him.
I'm hopeful that we'll be able to schedule time for him to come on this show.
Fantastic.
But he was just polite and kind, and he's a pastor. At the end of the day, this is a man of faith, and that's what it is with all these people. You look at how any of these people are interacting, what they're saying, whether it's Bibi, whether it's Herzog, the mayor of Jerusalem, all of whom spoke tonight. Everybody is committed to living life. It's a culture that worships life, not death. Yesterday, we're in our hotel, which is in the old city. So I'm about 3-minute walk from the Western Wall from the Kotel. And all of a sudden I'm hearing this klezmer music, all this music. Look outside our hotel. Some people just walking by and they're doing a wedding.
Wow.
In
the middle of
they're
the street.
celebrating life.
Yeah.
Right around the street. And they're just celebrating life. And that's what Israel is. And if you don't come here, you don't know that. It deepens a Christian's faith in Christianity and in Jesus. Charlie Kirk made the comment to our friend Rob McCoy. He found God in Israel. That's when he was touched by Jesus.
Wow.
That's when he became the Charlie Kirk that everyone knows about him. Jack Hibbs has come countless times. Rob McCoy countless times. It is such a vibrant, amazing space, even being threatened by death all the time. If you go on the Tel Aviv beach, we'll be in Tel Aviv later this week. Mm-hmm. If you go on the Tel Aviv beach, it's just one huge, beautiful beach, beautiful party, people celebrating life, kite surfing, all sorts of stuff. And the people are so passionate, so joyous. You know, we call Israelis sabra. Sabra is a type of cactus that's very sharp and prickly on the outside, but inside, it's sweet. That's what's here. Everyone is family here. You walk down this great example. We get in here at 1:00 in the morning, Sunday night. We're coming to the hotel. I don't know where the hotel is. Okay. And we're in the old city, which is, don't know where the hotel is. And there's some guys there in their 20s. They're studying at whatever school. And I say, excuse me, do you know how to get to this hotel? And two of them start arguing about what the best way is.
At 1:00 in the morning. You wouldn't find that anywhere else.
Right. And they say, do you want us to come show you? We can walk. Or I said, just get in the car. They get in the car. They give us, they drive, tell us where to go. They wouldn't let my wife carry her luggage to the hotel.
Wow.
You would never pick up these kind of guys in Los Angeles. And God forbid they should ever go in a car that they don't know in New York or Los Angeles.
Sure.
That's Israel.
What do you attribute to that?
Family.
Is it because it is such a chosen, spiritual, special place? Why? What? Or maybe you've seen so much suffering that they appreciate the life. What do you attribute to that?
I think it's both. I think that they see the pain. They know how precious life is. Mm-hmm. There's also a magic here. You have these big Israeli breakfasts with buffets, right? Where there's fresh watermelon and fresh mango and fresh strawberries. They're not being imported. They've figured out how to desalinate water, and they're growing watermelons in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And they built greenhouses in Gaza in 2005, when they left Gaza unilaterally, didn't ask for anything. The first thing that Hamas and these pro Palestinian, these people who are so anti-Israel, first thing they did, they destroyed all the greenhouses.
Wow. You'd think that wouldn't be the first thing on the list.
This is just a place of joy, and I'm not working for the Israeli tourist agency. I think that it deepens people's faith, and I think it's important. You don't go to Israel and come out an anti-Semite.
Yeah, you go with an understanding.
You go and you see it.
What's touched you most? You just referenced Charlie Kirk, and we've got about 3 more minutes in this segment. But what was the thing in Israel, maybe on your first trip or second trip, maybe it was a later trip, that just had the most impact on you?
I have a problem or challenge that I'm okay with, which is I come to Israel and I'm crying all the time. Mm-hmm. It's not out of sadness. It's not out of joy. It's just out of being here and being touched.
Right.
Everything is like that. It was tonight's opening of the Maccabi games was a great example. They did a tribute with October 7th, and they're showing this video that's so painful. Somehow they were able to show this video, and you can find it on YouTube. I think they've put it was broadcast around the world, so I think it's online. They do this tribute to October 7th. They're showing all of the people who were killed, and et cetera. And somehow they were able to take the grief and also make it as part of a tribute that we live life. We say, Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel live. Mm-hmm. Because it's about living with fullness and with passion. This is the city of King David. King David was the ultimate man of passion for God. Isn't that what we call Jesus' teachings too, or the passion?
That's right, the passion.
And we've so distanced ourselves in Judaism and Christianity, in all these traditions, from the passion of really allowing ourselves to be loved and to loving this infinity, this whatever you want to call it. And we need to bring back that passion in life. King David says in Psalm 100, Yivdu Hashem b'simcha, the work of God is found being happy. Real joy, not going online and doing whatever, but real joy, relationships. That's the beauty. And you see it here at the Maccabi Games. You see it in Israel. And I think we need to see it more in America so that we can have passion to make America great, not passion to destroy other Americans.
I think that's right. You don't have to tear down someone to find your own joy. In fact, the only way to find joy is when you find it within yourself and you have that faith. I think an incredible way to head on into spiritual teachings, which we will do to wrap things up. Don't forget, you can see all of the pictures and video that Rabbi has been collecting along the way in Israel. Go to therabbistable.com, connect on social media, all of the platforms. Look for the Rabbi's Table. Find the podcast as well, both a video and audio podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jennifer Horn. This is the Rabbi's Table.
If you like what you're seeing and hearing at the Rabbi's Table, I invite you to subscribe and to follow us on any of your podcast mediums, Spotify, iHeart, Apple, whatever it is. You can just follow us. You'll get all the latest information, special information from us, special segments of podcasts. You can also go to pound 250. You can go on your cell phone, dial pound 250. When the recording comes up, say, find my podcast. It will ask you what podcast, say the Rabbi's Table. And from then on, you will always get our podcast, our show, directly to your phone. So I invite you to sit with me, with our guests, with the different icons, and join us by being part of the podcast, part of the group, part of the community at the Rabbi's Table.
Welcome back to the Rabbi's Table. I'm Jennifer Horn, sitting in today with my friend, Rabbi Michael Barclay. I'm here in Los Angeles today while he is in Israel. And Rabbi, I really think you've given us such a great look and appreciation for the Jewish people, but also for the country of Israel. So I'd love to, I know we end every program with some spiritual teachings, and I think that would be an appropriate place to go in our final moments here.
So I'm going to ask you to keep me in line time-wise because I don't have a clock in front of me.
Uh-oh.
But I'm going to share something that we did today. If you go to the Bible, because this is about faith and life and where we are. If you go into the Bible and you go into Chronicles, you will see that there's a time when the Assyrians are attacking Israel. They're rampaging through Israel. They're going to get to Jerusalem. It's during the time of King Hezekiah's reign. King Hezekiah doesn't know what to do. And the water source, the spring for all of Jerusalem, is outside the walls of the city. So he doesn't know what to do. He asks God. God says, you're going to redirect the spring. So it's going to go into a pool, into the city, so you'll still have your water source. And when the Assyrians come, they're going to have a plague because they don't have water. They're going to go away. Okay. God says to him, take some of your people on that side of the hill, take some of your people on that side of the hill, and I want you to dig a tunnel between. This tunnel is 533 meters long. They didn't have radar, they didn't have sonar, they didn't have walkie-talkies. Mm-hmm. They just dig. They meet in the middle. It's about an inch difference in the floor where they meet.
Wow. Is that incredible?
The water's redacted. This is in the Bible. But you can go today, which we did this morning, and you can go through the ruins down to where the original well was, where they anointed the kings, where Solomon was anointed. And you can track and walk through this tunnel. The only light is the lights from your cell phone. I actually took some video. We've posted it up on X and on different social media of going through King Hezekiah's tunnel. Why is this so powerful? Because you read about it in the Bible, but now you're seeing it and experiencing it.
And if you
and
ever
you see
question
that the words are true.
Yeah, if you ever question it, the words are true here. We've got 30 seconds, Rabbi.
That's the key. And the words are true. And you live it in Israel. We need to live it in every moment in America.
We sure do.
Because this country, too, is a great gift from God.
Beautiful way to end the program.
That's what I think it is.
Yep. And we can't wait to hear more about your trip. Again, you can follow all of the stuff that the Rabbi is doing on X, on Instagram, on social media, The Rabbi's Table, and always on the website, therabbistable.com. Tune in, like, and share the podcast. Rabbi Michael Barclay, thank you. This is The Rabbi's Table.